All right, we've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to talk about technique. We're going to talk about tactics. We're going to watch some pro point breakdowns, and we're going to talk about some myths of pickleball. We've got a few other treats in there for you too. So let's get to it. Hey there, I'm Mark Renneson, and welcome to another episode of Pickleball Today. So one of the cool things about pickleball right now is that you can accomplish a lot with different kinds of technique. When we look at some of the players out there who have a lot of success when it comes to playing elite pickleball, we see a lot of different kinds of technique. And this could be how players hold the paddle. This could be how players swing the paddle. But one of the things that we see that's in common, really kind of across the board, is that good players care about the setup. They care about how they receive the ball. And this is true whether we're talking about a return of serve, or getting ready to play a drop, or getting ready to play a drive, volleying, hitting an overhead smash. The setup matters because how well you set up to the ball, how well you prepare for the ball, influences how well you can send it. Because the truth is, when you play pickleball, you've got to be really precise if you want to be able to hit the ball exactly where you want. You have to be able to control the paddle angle. You've got to be able to control the paddle speed. You've got to be able to control the swing path. And the more you're moving as you hit these balls, the harder it is to control all of those variables. So why don't we take a look at some really great players having really great setups. When we're talking about the setup, we're talking about what we're doing with the paddle and our body. A good setup has us preparing the paddle early, so we're not rushing as we hit the ball. As soon as you identified that the ball is coming to your right or left side of your body, you should prepare it. And if we can prepare our body at the same time, there'll be less of an emergency when it comes to the critical moment of making contact, less rushing. It's also important that we're on balance as we're hitting. Preferably, we can position our body and our feet early enough that we're stable as we hit. If we're on balance, it's going to be easier to control what it is that we do with the paddle. And finally, it's important that we have a good impact point. The impact point is where you make contact relative to your body. A good impact point is a comfortable distance away from your body and slightly out front between your body and the net. This is a strong hitting position, no matter what shot you're playing. So there you go, the setup matters. Strong pickleball players care not just about how they send the ball, but how they receive the ball. They know that how they receive the ball, how they set up, how they prepare, will influence what they can do with it. Now, are you always going to have a great setup? No, of course not. Sometimes you have to improvise. You've got to be able to hit on the run. And sometimes we call this having dynamic balance. So here's something you can do to improve your setup at home. Let's imagine that every time you hit the ball, there's a photographer who's taking a picture. And every time you make contact, that picture gets taken. And afterwards, all of those pictures get put up on the back fence or the back wall at your gym of you making contact. Now, what we should see ideally is that every single one of those pictures looks the same. And that's not because the ball that was sent to you is the same. Sometimes it's shorter and sometimes it's deeper, sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower, sometimes there's one kind of spin, sometimes there's another kind of spin, right? So the ball you receive is always going to be different. But your challenge is to set up in such a way that when that photographer takes those pictures and they get put on the wall, is that we see a very consistent kind of setup, that you're on balance, that your impact point is a comfortable distance from your body, that everything is sort of the same in how you receive the ball, even though how your opponent sent it was different. And that's something you can go out and practice right away to help improve your setup. All right, sometimes referees get a little bit of criticism. Sometimes they're not appreciated. Here's Ben Johns, Rob Nunnery taking on Colin Johns and Jay Devilliers. This is courtesy of Major League Pickleball. And let's watch this point, and we'll talk about great reffing. Okay, so what is it that happened here? Let's take one more look at it. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, that's Jay Devilliers. He's returning serve, and he's got a long way to run. As he comes across there, he's got some action happening at the kitchen. You can't quite see the referee, Vicky Ryan. She's just obscured by the little bug in the top corner there with the score. Notice the score, by the way, 14-13. Johns and Nunnery, this is match point here. Okay, so let's see exactly what happens. Devilliers, he comes across. He's got to cover that down the line drive from Ben Johns. and his momentum is taking him to the left side of the court. Now, De Villiers is a smart guy, and he realizes that if he can jump the corner here as he plays that volley, he'll be all right. And you see that first foot gets down. Here, the second foot gets down. So he is now re-established, right? He's got himself outside of the kitchen, no violation. Now he decides that there's ball is going to go past him and John, so he reaches for it. He's got a problem. That momentum is now going back to the right again. So what's he going to do here? He's going to jump the corner the other direction. And you see he gets that first foot down. There we go. And there's the second foot down outside the kitchen. Okay, so everything looks good, right? Well, not quite. Referee Vicky Ryan makes a call here saying that there's a kitchen infraction, a non-volley zone violation. De Villiers can't believe it. Let's take a little bit closer look to see exactly what happened here. So you see here as De Villiers is going across, there's the first foot down. That is a very tall man, but look at this left foot. You'll see here that it's dragging into the kitchen. It just gets down there, and referee Vicky Ryan is right there to see it all over it. Here's where she makes that call, and very quickly De Villiers tries to get his foot outside. Take a look at it from another angle. And you can see that that left foot, a good effort by De Villiers, not much he could do. There's not many players out there that could have successfully avoided this. Need some longer legs, I guess. And you'll see that left foot just drags a little bit. Vicky Ryan doing a great job keeping her eye on that kitchen, eye on De Villiers' foot. Let's take a look at it one more time here. Major League Pickleball, pretty fun event, team pickleball. Take a look at the right-hand side of the screen here. We've got two other refs taking in this match, and you can see they see what Ryan sees. Look at that ref. Nodding in appreciation. Referees, they're a really great crew. It's a great fraternity out there and often don't get enough appreciation. Referees doing a good job. As the sport evolves, the referees are evolving too, becoming more professional, more precise. It's so important to the success of the game. De Villiers can't believe it, but he knows that Vicky Ryan made the right call, and that is why she gets the gold star. Always a pro. All right, I spend a lot of time traveling all over North America coaching pickleball. And I spend a lot of time receiving emails from you as well about things that you're struggling with. And perhaps the top thing that I hear from people that they're struggling with, that they wish they could be better at, is how to control pop-ups. And in most of these scenarios, they're talking about when they're up at the net and they receive a ball, it's dipping down, it's coming down low, and they pop up that ball. It goes too high. And what happens, of course? Well, the opponents come and they slam it right down your throat, or preferably not at your throat, but you know what I mean, down into the dirt. So why don't we take a minute to understand what is it that causes these pop-ups to happen, and what can we do to avoid them? If you ask people what it is that controls the height of the ball, very often they'll tell you about the paddle angle. The more open the paddle face is, the more likely that the ball is going to go upward. And this is true. The other thing that they might mention is the swing path. If you swing from low to high, the ball is more likely to go up, and if you swing from high to low, it's more likely to go down. This is also true. But when it comes to pop-ups, the thing that we actually need to pay the most attention to isn't so much the angle or the path, but it's actually the speed of the ball as it comes off the paddle. If you think about it, anytime you're hitting one of these slow and low balls, like a dink or a drop, you're hitting the ball with an arc. You need to have a slightly open paddle face, and you need to have a low to high swing path. The question becomes, how big is that arc going to be? Is it going to be a small arc that stays low, or a high arc that gets attacked? And the size of that arc is directly related to the speed of the ball as it comes off your paddle. The faster the ball comes off your paddle, the bigger the arc will be. Sometimes we add more speed because we have too much speed from our own paddle. We're swinging too hard as we hit the ball. And sometimes it's just a function of the speed of the oncoming ball, that we can't remove the speed enough, we can't absorb it, and then the ball comes flying off the paddle. So if we want to be good at keeping those balls low, we have to be excellent at not only controlling paddle angle and swing path, but the speed of the ball as it leaves our paddle. Okay, so there you have it. When you pop up that ball, when you send that ball too high, yes, it could be a function of the paddle angle. It could be a function of the swing path, but there is a very good chance that your ball is going too high, that your ball is popping up, not because of the paddle angle, not because of the swing path, but because of the speed of the ball as it comes off your paddle. Look, if you're making contact below the top of the net and you've got to hit up on an arc, well, there's no question about that. There is going to be an arc, or else the ball goes in the net. The real question is, how big will that arc be? Will it be a nice, small, tight arc that stays close to the net, that stays low, that then forces your opponents to hit up? Or is it going to be a big, high arc that then is that sitter that's way up here that your opponents get to put away? And how big that arc is almost always a function of how fast the ball comes off your paddle. All right, here's a nice singles point from the 2021 USA National Championships of Pickleball, Indian Wells, California. This is Perry Wong getting ready to serve in singles. I like that nice relaxed sort of look he's got. And I love this setup here. We've talked about setup throughout this show. This is a nice setup. Look how balanced he is. The impact point's going to be out front. Love that. I also love this third shot that he plays. It's a drop. It's not really a drive. He's not hitting the ball hard, but look how flat it is. That allows the ball to stay nice and low, coming to his opponent. His opponent is going to have to hit up. He did the right thing by coming to the net to apply pressure, but he is going to have some trouble here. What I love here is that Wong recognizes that he hit a good shot. He recognizes that there's a decent chance for a pop-up, and what does he do? He starts to move forward quickly. He's looking for something to pounce on. Well handled by the opponent. He keeps that ball nice and low. And now we've got this little dinking battle here, this little cat and mouse aspect. Opponent's not able to keep that ball low enough as he gets pulled on the backhand side. Wong is right there, and I love the way he just sort of pokes this backhand into the open court. A little bit of top spin on it, keep it moving quickly. Good effort from the opponent, but he is not able to hang on. This is a nice sort of classic pattern in singles pickleball, is to counteract the opponent coming to the net with a good drop, come forward, give yourself a chance to get something high, and then to do exactly what you should when you get the opportunity. Gotta love it.